Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com. In this video, we're going to talk about being a credit card authorized user, what that means, and how it affects your credit score. But before we do that, I would ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So in other videos, I've talked about the concept of becoming an authorized user on someone else's credit card in order to help you boost your credit score, but we never delved too far down that path as to how the whole process works and, when you should be on and when you should be off as an authorized user and all those sorts of things. So we're going to try and talk a little bit further about that. So number one, what is an authorized user? Well, an authorized user is someone who gets added to somebody else's credit card and has authorization to use that card. So that means, oftentimes if people are married, you may have a spouse added to somebody else's card so they can both use the card. Parents sometimes will add their children as an authorized user to help them build their credit score, which is part of what we're going to be talking about here. Now, so what that means is that you have the person who is the card holder and you have the person that is the authorized user. The difference between them being the card holder is liable for the debts on that credit card. The authorized user is not. So the authorized user technically could use that credit card, run it all the way up to the credit limit if they want to, and they wouldn't have to pay for any of it, and they would leave the other person holding the bag. So in the case of parents and children many times, or other situations as well, what that means is that the card holder will add the person as the authorized user, and while they technically are authorized to use the card, they oftentimes don't actually have access to the card. So really the point of it is to sort of use that first card holder's good history to help the authorized user establish credit. So if you are that authorized user, how does it affect your credit? What happens when you become an authorized user? Well, essentially, if you become an authorized user on a credit card, for the most part, and there are exceptions to what I'm going to say because every credit card company works a little different and some of the credit scoring and credit reporting models are a little different as well. But in general, that means that that credit card is now seen as being your credit card in terms of it being, on your credit history. So if you had, no credit cards on your history, all of a sudden you have a credit card that is the, has the history of its use with the main card holder. So say it's your parent. If they've had that card for 10 years and they've got a $6,000 credit limit and they've, made all their payments on time and whatever the history is of that card, all of a sudden that is on your history as well. So if you didn't really have much of a credit history, if you didn't have any credit history, now all of a sudden you have a good account on your credit report, and hopefully that is going to help you build a good credit score. Now, when you go off of an account as an authorized user, for the most part, what that means is that credit card goes away from your credit report. It goes out of your credit history. And, if you have not established a new credit while you, had a better credit history, then you're sort of going to be back at square one. So if you are an authorized user on someone's account who has a good credit history, you want to probably within about 6 months, or maybe after, I should say, 6 months, that's when you need to start thinking about establishing your own credit, assuming that your credit score has gone up as a result of being the authorized user. So say you get 6 months in, your credit score has gone up, you check it, and you find out you're in the high 600s, low 700s, whatever. That means for the most part, you are going to be able to access a lot of the credit cards that are on the market today. Now, you're not going to maybe, be as desirable as someone who's sort of established that 700 plus credit score through, multiple credit cards and a mortgage and an auto loan or whatever. But still, you're probably going to be accepted, in many cases by major credit card companies. So that is a good place to be. So assuming that you get your credit card, you start establishing your own credit history while you are on someone else's credit card as an authorized user. So, assuming you do that and you make your payments on time and, you're doing everything you're supposed to do with that credit card, hopefully within a couple of years, you will have really established your own credit, and you will have a decent credit history and a decent credit score that is not so much predicated on the fact of you being an authorized user on someone else's credit card, but it is predicated more on your own behavior. And then that puts you at a point where you can actually consider going off of someone else's credit card and no longer being an authorized user. Now, if that person's happy to keep you as an authorized user and you want to stay on there 3, 4, 5 years, as long as their payment history is good and they're doing everything that they should with their credit card, there's no harm in staying on someone else's account as an authorized user. Obviously, most people at some point are going to want to sort of break that tie once they've established their own credit history, but there's no downside to you being on that other person's credit card. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Please go to ProudMoney.com, where we talk about other personal finance topics and we do credit card reviews and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.